Oh yeah, I've reflected. Thought a lot about Iowa State too, and tried to familiarize ourselves with them. But it's, yeah, I think you're doing both. Like you're trying to, because every text I got said soak it in and enjoy it, but it's like you can't really get all into it because if you do that, you won't get ready for Iowa State. And you want your players to kind of have that same mentality of, you know, feel it, but also be ready to go today. So I think it was good we took yesterday off and you know, give them a chance to get into the classroom and, you know, kind of get their feet back on the ground and get off social media after 24 hours of probably just checking all that and then be ready to go today. So, but yeah, I mean, I still think you want to be reflective, and just the number of notes that I had was pretty, you know, pretty touching. I felt like.
Has this surprised you, this whirlwind? Or, I mean, I've heard people say this is great. How have the last 48 hours been for you?
Yeah, it's I haven't slept a lot, but probably my own fault. I mean, I tried. It's not like I, you know, tried to stay up till 3 a.m. I just didn't fall asleep when I thought I could fall asleep. So, but it's all good. I mean, at some point, if I really need the sleep, I'll get it, and if I don't, I'll keep going. But you know, I think you know, there's so many logistical things that maybe I have to talk to somebody about too, and it's not just getting ready for Iowa State, but it is a whirlwind. I said to my wife, you know, that I can't imagine being Gino and doing this like every year, knowing you're doing it for 3 straight weeks every year, and because it's a lot coming at you at a pretty quick clip.
What's hit you the hardest? What are you most proud of about the accomplishment so far and the journey that it took to get there in this group?
Well, I think it's unique that we lost our last 2 games, because that was one of the things that I felt going into the tournament. I felt like we didn't have a lot of momentum. I mean, we had a lot of rust probably because we hadn't played very many games really in the last month, and so I think it's maybe that to me is the most impressive thing, because I feel like if that's in my mind that, well, we don't have a lot of momentum and we have a little bit of rust, it's probably going through the players' minds. So for them to have the belief and the resolve to kind of overcome, you know, the lack of momentum that we had at the end of the year, I think says a lot about their resilience. It says a lot about their belief in each other. I mean, certainly there could be a case to be made that it being fresh helps, but I also think, you know, you need some game readiness, and I always think you can manipulate practice to keep them fresher. You know, it's not just, everybody talks about the wear and tear of games, but to me, if you're manipulating practice to the point where you're going for 45 minutes or an hour, you can certainly ask a 20-year-old to play a few more minutes on a game day if you're really manipulating practice to the point where they're not burning themselves out or pushing themselves quite as hard in practice.
Hey, how nice is it? Obviously, Carly hit this at the game, right?
Yes. Yep.
So Connie was on the bench with you.
Yeah.
Would that arrangement continue, or was just a isolated deal?
Now Connie will, unfortunately for her, she'll have to cancel her pickleball. I told her on the bus ride back from Iowa City, I said, you're going to have to go ahead and cancel those pickleball games you set up for next Friday and Saturday. So Connie will be joining us, and it's good. Like she worries about, she's got the worrisomeness of a head coach, which sometimes makes me a little more uptight because I'm probably wired. I'm not, wired to be quite as uptight, but it's also good because she'll think about something that I maybe necessarily haven't thought about, and and it's a different voice, and I think it's been good for her too. I think it's been energizing, and I think our players have enjoyed it because they value her experience.
The fact that she saw Iowa and Iowa State so many times, and you saw them in scrimmages, but the fact that she's gone against them in the Big 10, Big 12 days, I mean, how much has that helped having her right there to make quick adjustments as well?
Yeah, I think in terms of, for sure, both of them. She talked about that. Iowa historically would play zone at some point, even if they hadn't shown that. And we don't see a lot of that. And as we talked this morning about Iowa State, who we're a little less familiar with Iowa State because we scrimmage Iowa every year. So even though I watch Iowa State on TV once in a while or part of a game, I felt like it was beneficial to have her talk about what her teams at Nebraska struggled with Iowa State historically. And so I think having her be familiar with both Iowa and Iowa State can help us, did help us, and can help us this coming weekend.
Well, and it might seem silly, but do you guys at all talk about your 2 wins from the Final Four, your 1 win away from the Elite Eight? Do you talk about that stuff as a team, or you just kind of let that be just happy?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll talk about that or not. I mean, we actually haven't convened yet until now, but I may throw it out there because I feel like there's, there is kind of a place for that. I think, you don't want to make the moment too big, but you also want their focus. And I think if you give them that, then they understand the gravity of it. I mean, I said, our 3 leading scorers are sophomores, but so I want them to fight the tendency that, we'll be back here and we'll have this opportunity again. You don't know that. You don't know what your draw is going to be next year and whether you have an injury or just some bad luck or just one bad day. And so I want our younger players to know that. I mean, and they love the seniors, so they're going to do that part of it. But in terms of preparation, I think you want their entire focus because this isn't guaranteed for next year or 2 years from now.
At the same time.
Yeah, I think it's worse now that we have to go all the way out to Connecticut. And then, if you went to Chicago and lost in the first round, it still wasn't easy. But to go all the way out there and play one game, and I think it hurt. I think, but I also thought, well, maybe that's not a bad thing to have them be a little bit more reflective about where we can improve a little bit. But I think they were extremely disappointed to lose to Seton Hall, but I think again maybe it gave us a little bit of fuel and a little bit of extra focus because we weren't necessarily playing quite as well as we wanted to play down the stretch. So I think it could be a good thing.
You mentioned on Selection Sunday that you're trying to win a 14 tournament in Iowa State.
Yeah.
Are you going to use that again for this one, even though the competition might be a little bit stiffer on the road?
Yeah, we'll use it. We'll talk about that. It's a 4-team tournament before practice today, and I mean I won't overemphasize it, but I think I'll. And that's one way of, to Andy's question about the Final Four, or one it is a 4-team tournament, so I think it sets the tone. If you win, it sets the tone that you've already kind of broached the idea that you're there for the weekend and you're trying to win too.
You touched on it briefly, but when it comes to facing Iowa State, what's the key matchup you got to do if you're going to win this?
Well, they rely pretty heavily on 3 players. I mean, their point guard Emily Ryan, wing player Denarski, and then their All-American Ashley Jones, who's is going to be a tough matchup for us. Ashley's a really good player. I think she's would be a tough matchup for a lot of teams. I think she's maybe even just a little bit tougher for us, but I feel like we got to keep them off the free throw line. Historically, Iowa State does a great job of not fouling and getting to the free throw line, and we play against ourselves in practice every day, so taking away the 3-point line is a little easier for us than it is for a lot of teams. They've got it, but she's a tough matchup because she's such an inside-outside kid, and she's relentless, and she's an offensive rebounder and get to the free throw line. So I think being competitive from a rebounding or a free throw standpoint is important, and I think we'll struggle to score the ball a little bit on the perimeter for the same reason that we hope they do, is they're used to guarding each other in practice every day, and so I think we're going to have to score some baskets inside. And we did not do a good job of throwing the ball in against Iowa. I mean, it wasn't necessarily our post players. It was, we turned the ball over quite a bit, trying to throw it inside. So we're going to need some inside baskets, and we're going to need to keep them off the free throw line.
How has Ronsiek evolved her game this year, and how is she, maybe confidence-wise, been a little different than she was maybe at the beginning of this year or even last year?
Yeah, she's just steady. I think, I think she doesn't have to score the ball to really give us a calm on the floor. I feel like against Colorado, who pressed and really pressured and sped up our guards, Emma's taking the ball out. We can throw the ball back to her. She can inbound the ball or receive an inbounds pass. And I think, that sort of decision making that you have with her is different than with a lot of people. And so even if she only gets us 8 or 10 points, we can count on her to make good decisions, both in the full court and in our half court offense. And her understanding defensively is better. And I thought she did a good job against Iowa when we moved her out onto the perimeter. We played Morgan against Sinano because Morgan's a little bit stronger, and asked Emma to go out on the floor and guard, which is something we don't normally ask her to do. But I thought she did that pretty well on kind of short notice.
Sonata was 1 for 5 with Morgan as her primary.
Yeah.
That's not something that Morgan's normally known for, and
Yeah.
Sonata's historically one of the best finishers inside. How is Morgan able to make that tough on her and make her efficient?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I probably underestimated how good a low post defender Morgan is. I feel like we probably haven't given her enough credit because she's, like I said, she's a little stronger than Emma, and Emma might have just a little bit more length. But I also think, Emma plays a few more minutes, so we've tried to maybe use Morgan to lean on somebody a little bit more. And then, I also think in terms of just the Iowa game, that was also partly a function of what we did to Sinano at the offensive end. I mean, they cross-matched and put her on a point guard, put her on Tatum, they put her on Rachel, and so she had to work maybe a little bit harder on offense, and hopefully that was part of what wore her down to where she missed some of the shots in the fourth quarter that she might normally make. But I think Morgan does a good job. She's gotten better as a defender for sure.
Tell us the superstition. You're gonna wear the khakis. Is that true? What's your plan there?
I don't know if I have a choice. It might have to be the khakis, and I don't know if they've got a laundromat or if I just have maybe wash them in the sink after the first game.
To the team, right? I mean, everybody knows.
Yeah, I told them before the game. I told the story before the game. I mean, here's what I tried to tell them. We go in twice. We go in early, and then we let them go back in like at the 12-minute mark in case somebody needs to go to the bathroom. And so I usually try to make that one a lighter one, especially if it's a big game where I feel like, okay, I need them to come out a little bit loose. So I told them the pants story the second time we went in before the Colorado game, actually, to kind of lighten them up. So
Then they got off to that great start.
right, 11-2.
That's great.
Yeah.
Playing in the preseason, you said that if you guys beat UConn, you're the top team.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Think that
Uh-oh.
this Sweet 16 game, you might consider it?
Now, if we beat UConn in the Final Four, I'll get one for sure. Promise. If we're in an all Big East final, I haven't really looked at the regional brackets, but if we beat them in the Final Four, I will.
Crazy. I mean, I think a lot of us are still on cloud 9, like first Sweet 16. And for me, this is my first postseason that I've been a part of. I wasn't a part of the WNIT last year because of COVID, so it's just been so surreal, just like being with your family and friends, just seeing them after the game. So it's been so fun.
Are you guys in class right now? Are you in spring break?
No, we're in class right now, so school's kind of, but taking a little backseat. But the teachers are really understanding, or at least mine are, so that's good.
Yeah, what has been the reaction from your classmates and stuff? Has it been kind of awesome? I don't know what's like.
Yeah, I mean, some of my classmates, they'll go to class and then the teacher will have the people like stand up and clap, or like they'll just like congratulate us when we walk in. So it's just such a good feeling that like everyone was aware and like knew what was going on. I had some professors email me on the road. Like it was just really cool.
Have you watched Iowa State yet?
No, we're doing that whenever we go to practice.
Them right here?
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of familiarity with them or their style, or what you want to walk into as far as social?
Yeah, I think they're more similar to us in like Villanova than they were to Iowa, because obviously Iowa has Sinano, and I don't think that they have a Power 5 like that, but they do have a good stretch 4, so I think it'll be a lot different, but it's not something that we haven't seen before.
Flan mentioned the familiarity you might have because you covered each other in terms of what you take away from Iowa State versus what you take away from yourself every day. Do you think it will be a smooth prep because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just us guarding the posts that we have in practice, like Morgan guarding me or me guarding Morgan or vice versa, just anything, that prepares us for a lot of games like when we play Villanova or DePaul when they've got more stretch 4s. And then, so yeah, I think that'll prepare us for Iowa State.
Big 48 hours for all of you, but Lauren in particular.
Yes.
During or before the game, did you notice any different look in her eye or her mentality? And in the last 48 hours, have you noticed anything different from her, more smiling or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think she was really excited to get back to Iowa and play in front of some people that she didn't get to play in front of last year, obviously, with it being COVID and no fans. And she's just a basketball player. Like, I didn't see her get too high or too low before or even after the game. She just played an even game. And I'm so happy for her that she was the one who hit the shot. Like, that's just so cool. Like, I can't even imagine, like, if I transfer from Iowa and I hit the game-winning shot, like, that'd just be crazy. So I'm so happy for her.
How was your game with the ball? You know, we talked in preseason. Where are you before, comparatively from earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, especially earlier in the season, I think I've just grown more of a vocal role. I just have to like come into every practice and every game just knowing that that's what my coaches expect of me, and I think I've gotten a lot better at that as the year's gone on.
You have a few seniors, but a lot of you got a good core group of young kids. How do you guys not fall into the trap of and take advantage of the moment at hand since you're already in the sweet spot?
Yeah, I think it's just because of the relationship that we have with the upperclassmen and just with everyone on our team in general. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the seniors, obviously, and we just can't take that for granted for them. Like, we want to go as far as we can for them because we want them to stick around as long as they can because we love them.
This time of year, you hear teams say they want to treat it as just another game. Like, have you guys tried to do that, and how hard is it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is one game at a time or as best as you can, but emotions do get the best of you sometimes, especially when this is our first Sweet 16. Like, we're all on cloud 9, but at the same time, it's just basketball, and we just got to get back to do what we're doing.
Seems like Coach Yori, she gets to take more of a hands-on role these last few weeks. From what you've noticed and what you've gotten to know her, what stands out about her coaching style? Is it the way she motivates? Is there the way she adjusts her X's and O's? What stands out about Coach Yori?
I think she's really motivational, especially with me whenever she knows, like, when I need a little pick-me-up or something, because I can be an emotional, in-my-head player. And she just knows when to say the right thing and how to say it. So, I mean, I just really appreciate that she stepped into the role that she has, obviously, with Carly Berger having her baby. So, yeah, I'm just really honored that she's part of this program.
He was aware of the Flan told us a story about his pants. I mean, when you guys hear something like that, does it really kind of lighten the mood? And how important is that to kind of get that levity before a real important ball game?
Yeah, I mean, when we're in the locker room before a game, when we hit that 12-minute mark and go back in for the final speech and just writing the last noted things on the board, emotions can get the best of you. You can start getting wrapped up in the fact that you're potentially playing a game that might end your season or lengthen your season. And then when he just says something like that, I think it helps a lot, just lighten the mood, just have a little laugh, especially when it's something that's so stupid, like just talking about his khakis. Like, it's just fun.
Hugging each other. Has that bond been strong since the beginning of the season, or how have you seen it just maybe grow stronger?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has been really strong since the beginning of the season, but I also think spending every day with each other, doing things outside of basketball together, like watching more basketball or just going to get food or taking little trips with each other, like I think that has just grown into what this program has been and what all the girls have meant to each other this year. So I think after when we won that game, us all just like coming together and getting so excited for one another was just really a testament to what this program is.
Yeah, it's definitely like crazy trying to come down from it. I feel like it's sunk in a little more now, but once we step on the court for practice, it's pretty much thinking about Iowa State, and taking care of the next.
I just rewatched the game just a little bit ago. I didn't know it was that emotional right after the game, like your parents and everything. Why do you feel like it was so emotional right then and there?
Yeah, obviously being back in Iowa City, playing in front of a sold-out crowd, NCAA tournament, it's a great environment and super fun game going to the Sweet 16. I feel like just, all those factors combined just made it for an emotional post-game.
Have you been able to reply to all the congratulatory text messages?
It took me a while, but I have been able to. There's been a few more, that I've like trickled in here and there, but I definitely got a lot of them after the game.
Is it going to be challenging to move past? I mean, because you got games ahead, just go to work on today. What is that process going to be like?
Yeah, I think all of us are pretty prepared and like looking forward. Obviously, it's a fun game and everything, but we know the opportunity that we have against Iowa State, and I think we're all prepared and locked in for that.
What do you know about Iowa State?
Yeah, obviously they're in the Big 12, and we're not like super familiar with Big 12 opponents, but it is Iowa State, and like regionally, they're close. And they're a great team. They've been top 15, top 10 all season. They have great post play, great guard play. But I know that we'll have a good game plan, and if we execute and play our game, I think we have a good opportunity.
You know a lot. I mean, you knew a lot of kids on the Iowa squad. Do you know a lot of kids on the Iowa State roster being from generally the same footprint?
I'm familiar with some of them, yeah. I played against a few of them in AU, so especially the sophomore class, I'm familiar with them.
How do you, this opportunity to come around, obviously it's never come around here, but as a sophomore, like, this is the time you got to get this. How do you embrace that challenge knowing that you're in the Sweet 16, just 2 wins away from the Final Four?
I think just taking it one game at a time, it's easy to get caught up and think about the next and what could be and what could happen if we win this game and the next. But just taking it one game at a time and just like focusing on what we need to do, I think is key.
Do you think you'll be able to do that? I mean, you're on the court and it's a big stage and all.
Yeah, I think we will be able to. I think just the way that we handled things at Iowa, in front of a sold-out crowd, in front of all those Iowa fans, and how we were able to keep our poise is a good indicator of what we can do and how we can handle that.
Lauren Swain mentioned not having a lot of momentum going into the postseason, obviously with losing to DePaul and then losing to St. Paul. How much of like a blessing in disguise do you think that maybe was though to kind of just reignite that fire?
Yeah, I think it was truly a blessing in disguise. Like you said, reignite that fire. We lost the last 2. It was the first time this whole season we had lost 2 in a row. And we had a little bit of time off in between Big East and NCAA, and I think we were all able to just regroup and come back ready and fired up.
What was that time like in between?
Yeah, it was definitely weird to kind of have that much time off, even though it was only like 3-4 days. But, in season, that's rare. You don't get that much. But it was nice to have time to just kind of like do your own workouts, do your own lifts and stuff, and then come back and regroup and just get mentally prepared. I'd say I'm not superstitious as some, but I am like a little more superstitious, especially with my routine. I like to have my like game day routine and not try to mess that up too much.
What's the most important thing you need to do on game day routine? What do you have to do?
Oh gosh, what do I have to do? I'd say it's more like logistical stuff. We always do like the same amount of time in between like film or breakfast and like when we get ready. And I'd say just the order of like how I get ready and what we do before we head to the gym is probably the place that I'm most superstitious.
Did you ever pack the wrong pants thinking that they were your pants and it turned out to be somebody else's, perhaps?
I did not. I actually forgot my shoes though. Yeah, I forgot my shoes in December, right before Christmas, for our Providence, Arkansas game, and so they had to run out and get me a pair of shoes. Yep, on the road in Providence. There was only like these green and white ones left, and so they ran out and got me those. So, yeah.
Wait, then you scored 17 in the first quarter. Did you wear them the rest of the year?
Yeah, I didn't wear them any other games, but I did score 17 in the first quarter for that game, and so it's kind of like a thing that people joke about now. But I wear them for practice, but I always wear my white Kyries for games.
So when you hear Flan talk about that pants story, how funny is that? How adamant are you to make sure that he wears the same pants now?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say keep wearing them. You know, we've been playing well the past 2 games, so why not?